Hello everybody, welcome back to From Rhythm to Algorithm. We continue on with our derivation, what is sensurality? So, big conceptual progress, what is census to consensus? And so this was definitely, again, all of the linguistics is derivative from conceptualization. And so, going to show this direct iteration of the syllability of sensorality in some sort of definitive containment, a sentence that shows what a censor is, how it is naturally defined. Fluency is influential. I didn't pick that. It just spells out fluent, and fluent is fluent. And so we're showing identity of censorship. But the big conceptual progress today was, right, a census is a count specifically of people. What is consensus? Right? It's a uniform response of those people. Right? If you ask a group of sports fans, hey, who are you rooting for in the NBA Finals? Oh, it's the Knicks, right? That's the consensus. You go to a sports book, that's the consensus, what determines the spread. And so that felt like a poignant conceptualization to get in order, sense, consents, consensus, and then census to consensus. Specifically, two words we use. We have a definitive, rigorous, again, what I would call just, well, we've been saying common usage, just sentiment. Consensus is sentiment. But you use, I was going to say something else once again, but census, that kind of like the working definition is present in people's minds, right? If you said census to somebody, they would say, it's a count of people. But if you said, what is consensus to people, I feel like you get, again, this is one of those times where I'm just pointing out, I feel like there's a more established definition or working definition for the base, census versus consensus, but both words used readily. But consensus is a uniform response. Consensus in its most general is sentience. And so, but that progression was, right, a census, count of people. A consensus is if you ask that group of people that you counted, what they think, the sentience is the same. That was the conceptualization I wanted to point out at the forefront of my mind. And so going through our derivation steps, again, looking to show this definitiveness, this direct iteration of how sensurality, how a censor is already naturally defined. So just moving through our derivation steps. Again, my rights continue to be violated. Why can't somebody give me a little bit of money? It is profoundly and extensively illegal. No one cares. Sensurality is smellable. Right? Remove the consonants. Sensurality is sellable. Are syllables sellable? Sensurality is unassailable. Invincibility is unassailable. Irreducible is invincible. Right? Irreducibility, this concept we definitely have in mathematics. Physical stability is what causes mathematical irreducibility, but invincibility is another one of these words. Kind of has physical intuition, right? You can't break me down, I'm invincible. But that's irreducibility as well. Pointing out any context when I can. Sensurality sells smell. Natural definition. Sensurality is the invincibility vicinity. A safe space again. Sensurality is in the vicinity, highlighting the sentience, the consensus usage of just the phrasing, hey, I'm in the vicinity. What is sentiality to motiality? And two general forms of motion and sense. Motiality is motility. Again, just directly, literally, you just remove some letters. Motility. And then motility is well defined in like biology, but natural definition. But again, it's just, again, something about this sound, motiality to motility. Again, just moving along. What is motility to agility? Is agility movement? What is movement to censorship? Is durable robust? What is condensation to compression? Is sensation condensation? Right? To condense is to compress. What is condensation to compensation? Sensurality is sensation compensation. Right? Feels surreal. I got the first big paycheck. which I never have because I don't have constitutional rights and I'll never be paid, in direct violation of Article 1, Section 8, Clause 8 of the United States Constitution, and the Fifth Amendment, which is supposed to guarantee you right to just compensation. But sensurality is sensation compensation. What is compensation to cost? Sensurality sweats equity, right? Obviously, you can hear the play, right? You've heard the phrasing sweat equity before, and we'd say sensurality sweats equity. We're directly connecting cliches because this experience is universal. We all experience the same things. And then we produce linguistics, phrasings of those conceptualizations, and we're just connecting those linguistically. Sensurality sweats equity. Natural definition, direct iteration. Is sweat sweet? Is sweet cool? Sensurality senses change. What is charge to polarity? So yesterday, and still kind of like the biggest conceptual resolution, is just this uniqueness of one to many, right? I keep thinking charge is one, and then spin is two, up or down, but then we have positive or negative charge, right? The electron and the proton are clearly positive and negative, and we associate that to charge. So am I misguided? There's just some little nuance of complete assignment of numbers to physical properties, right? One charge, two spin, or is it two contained within one? Some little thing, but that directly, this consideration of charge and spin produces polarity, right? We have a magnetic moment. Is this positive and negative certainly produces this dichotomy of polarity. So what is charge to polarity? Again, another step I know we've directly hit in this derivation, and all of the conceptualization is resolved in speciality. What is tension to polarity? And tension is polarizing. Is odor polar? Direct iteration. What is lethargicality to logarithmicality? Are logarithms agentic? I love that word. Sensurality invokes. What is invocation to revocation? Censorship is revocation. Sense is vocation. So that was another step, the demonish, right, goes to admonish, but demonish is a step and it looks like demon-ish, but when I typed it in, I put it on the screen, but demonish is like a predecessor or something. It's a direct step and it just popped to my mind again. But censorship is revocation, sense is vocation. What is sensation to vocation? Sensurality invocates. Sensurality advocates. Sensurality is inadvertent. Orality vocates. What is containment to congruence? Is compression efficient? And so again, this irreducibility limit, this fundamental stability of 2 with even like the numeric property, that is what people find in compression, our compression algorithms. We just have a big breakthrough for Google saying our quantum chips, how many transistors can we put on a chip? These are all physical limits, right, in the concept of memory, or really processing, computers. I would say processing, compute. We have a lot of CapEx for our compute. But is compression efficient? Yes. Is compression limited? Yes. Containment is congruence, right? Symmetry is congruent. Containment, it is what it is. The thing is the thing. We're just having a complete description, producing a definition. A complete physical description, producing a linguistic definition. Moving along, sensurality senses consensus. And so that was where this, right, census to consensus, the conceptualization that we started with, and then the biggest theorem that was directly produced by that conceptual step, right, sensurality senses consensus. The reason all of you people have no problem sitting down and stealing my work every single day is consensus. It's just what everybody else is doing. It's done in this fashion. Maybe it's national security. Maybe it's a big mathematical result that's going to be remembered in history. Whatever it is, people do the wrong thing instinctually. Right? If all of your friends jumped off a bridge, would you? If all of your friends lied about fundamental science at the direct cost of health to another human being, would you? Clearly, right? And then we have this phrasing, you don't want to be remembered on the wrong side of history, and you guys genuinely have no idea how to behave, and then you just blurt out, You just project these random phrasings, and you guys are the most hypocritical people that have ever lived. But that's what sensorality senses, consensus. And it's been my whole life of what you guys call ontological shock. People feel the novelty of this is just something different. And by that nature, we're just like, nope. We're nope. You guys have caused more death and destruction globally by lying about science, and you don't have the capacity to care because you're insulated by consensus. What is a consensus to a census? Consensus is uniform. Consensus is uniform response. And again, historically, directly, you have Edward Snowden, where you still have this, like, it's still like leaking secrets, which, again, not going into the geopolitics, don't even know the situation that well. But it's like you have a situation where someone wants to leak information. It might have, it could jeopardize service members if nationalism is your thing. And again, the real intelligence apparatus is thinking a nation state matters is like, again, thinking your high school Letterman jacket matters when you go into the workforce. And so, and again, I don't even get that type of understanding of the intelligence apparatus from directors of the CIA, directors of the FBI. It's one of those things, if you're not involved, you just don't even you don't even see the awareness. But this consensus is a uniform response when you sense novelty, and it's just what do we do with this? You just push it out instinctually. And that's how my life is what it is. And then it is what it is, and then no one cares. And so consensus is a uniform response. Census counts. Natural definition, consensus responds. How do we respond to this situation? And obviously just no one cares, nobody has any morality. Right? What is morality to liability? If you don't know what is right, you can't do what is right. Then you get in some deep shit. You fuck around, you find out. What is consensus to liability? Right? Do I feel responsible for this action? What everyone around me is doing? And we're at the point where, again, the social sentiment makes you directly violate the law, as a Governor DeWine is doing right now today, as Donald Trump is doing right now today, as Andrew Ginther is doing right now today, as Elaine Bryan is doing right now today, as every person I've ever interacted with in my whole life instinctually knows to do the wrong thing just because it's consensus and is what everybody else is doing. Play games, compete over nothing, and then protect that, right? And then they'll say, it's like, dude, I'm protecting my family. We're all living our own lives. We're all independent people out here. And it's still a small world where the law is supposed to make sense, and it doesn't. Directly, immediately, there could not be more detriment to society than that overall behavior. People truly, the governor of Ohio, I'm an Ohio citizen, I stand up for all Ohioans. Here is the most fundamental scientific result protected by the Constitution that affects everyone immediately, and doing so, not doing your legal obligation, is the most profoundly morally immoral thing you can do. But it's just, again, being a shithead is completely normalized. Being a criminal is completely normalized to the point where it's just directly literal to the governor, to the mayor, to the president, to any law enforcement person I've ever interacted with. Again, it's still my property. Are we ever going to protect property rights? Are we ever going to protect freedom of speech? Are we ever going to do the things that are already, again, codified right in front of your face? Of course not. All right, what is consensus to liability? Direct historical evidence right now. Right, Andrew Ross Sorkin thinking whatever the fuck he is doing versus a lawsuit versus me with, again, this is criminal extortion. This is criminal extortion, and it's full. Again, sitting up on CNBC is its whole crime in and of itself, 0% a joke. To have somebody say, this is my property, meaning Andrew Ross Sorkin, I have a publishing right, I'm going to give it to Penguin Random House Publishing, and then they're going to say, Brad, if you don't delete your property, you're stealing our property, you got to take it down. That is criminal extortion. And so, obviously, there's not been an appropriate time response from Penguin Random House Publishing, which is a terrible name. It's a mouthful every time. But again, you have a liability that far outseeds anything you will ever be able to finance. You were insolvent yesterday. Sam Altman, who's up here now, some other white dude in a suit, you guys are all insolvent. You cannot finance your debt. That debt is not going anywhere. You fuck around, you find out, and you ruin society. So you guys could play games all day. What is licensure to liability? Right? Licensure limits liability or protects it. right? You're a medical doctor and you mess up in surgery, but you're genuinely doing everything you can, and it's just the nature of your profession, right? You have malpractice insurance, which you should, and you shouldn't be sued for that. If you show up to the job incapacitated in any way, you should be sued for that. And so licensure is some sort of acknowledgement of competency, of consistency, of ability at a society level. You've passed these tests, you've passed the board, you've passed the bar exam. Again, all of culture is still bounded by, all of behavior is still bounded by culture. So even if you go to school, you get the medical degrees, you get the law degree, and then I know, again, David Paulette at ASU. Hey, brother, you want to cite your sources for your lectures and for your math teaching? Nope. Okay, prison. Tim Doon, you want to, again, uphold your Hippocratic Oath? Well, what is the Hippocratic Oath? Is that just like more of a privacy statement? That might be a privacy statement. But just your profession is to medicate, right? Rhythm, your heartbeat, the thing that regulates all your literal life every day. We don't think that that's like prioritized. Failure due to competency immediately. Got a licensure from an institution stealing from me, profound fraud, and intimately involved in the slander, defamation of character resulting in grave bodily harm. Right? I can't cite crimes that didn't exist. But again, we just have this hypocrisy that is so profound, where consensus is do the wrong thing instinctually to protect what you call your job or your family, and then people all just say, yep, that's the right thing. You know, we're all just living our lives, protecting our own families. I'm teaching everybody. I own all of the fucking property. Get in line, behave. But in general, licensure limits liability. What is consensus to consent? Right? All of our laws reflect consensus. What everyone feels is right, what everyone feels is appropriate for our normal growing up and living lives as human beings. Sensurality is consensuality. Now we generalize, go back one element in our consolidated information system that we've been bounded by the entire time. Sensurality is consensuality. Natural definition, direct iteration. What is license to incense? Direct linguistic iteration. What is licensure to censure? What is consensus to censure? Sensurality censures consensus. Sensurality is consensuality. Consent and censure generalized, natural definition, direct iteration. Again, progressing conceptually where you can follow to the point where you can't say no, and then we're just stuffing letters together. Frankly, these are real words, but we're just getting a linguistic word form where we can show that direct iteration, literally showing one letter change and be like, are you sure, Professor Carroll? We're not sure, be patient with new ideas. Here's the fucking law, here's analysis. Do you understand that, Professor at Caltech? Nope. Holy fuck, how do I live a life? All of the engineering applications of physics have been solved for 50 years, and they're sitting in mountains, they're sitting in space in orbit, they're sitting in underground bunkers, and you guys are like, don't understand that. How do you run an academic institution saying we're going to collect tuition and you're going to go study physics? Fraud at a profound, disgusting level. Nobody cares. Well, I'm going to be the next ping pong and publish on the ADS CFT correspondence for like the 50 millionth time. What is our basic conceptualizations of where's fundamental physics and what new thing could occur, right? And that's why I get back to saying doing physics is just describing the world around you, and then the linguistics has to be consistent with the greater ontology of scientific progression. It has to be. And so, regardless, sensurality is consensuality, building up into a single linguistic form. I think it's either a sentence or just a word, but showing the derivation to completion of sensurality. What is censorship to consent? Right? I am not consenting to having my rights violated. I'm not consenting to having my ability to do this analysis without payment. I just can't turn it off, and then I just sit here all day like, what the fuck else do I do? What is consensus to censure? Sensurality censures consensus. This is a great episode to again shout out to my legal partner who is a barred lawyer in the state of Florida, Robert Hemphill. Again, I have it in writing, obviously, saying, the FDA, we can't get approved because the FDA is a bunch of people committing scientific fraud in direct violation of the Constitution. and you won't even file something because, again, consensus is wrong. Brad is this weird guy that has weed beer or something. I'm the most competent scientist in history, and I say, where's the easiest, most, again, as we talk about in trading stocks, as an entrepreneur, as an inventor, where's the biggest discrepancy of policy and behavior? Healthier alcohol is a thing that people would like. It's simple as shit. Here's a patent. Great. Here's a licensure to a big company. Great. I get royalties. Where's my money? Oh, that's right. We're in the United States of America, where you can't start a business. Healthier alcohol, proven scientifically. Again, the FDA hasn't approved it. The FDA doesn't know what analysis is. The FDA doesn't know what thematics is, mathematics is. They've never done a proof. Where's the expertise? Oh, they went to Harvard. Oh, that fraudulent institution. Oh, they went to Caltech. Oh, that fraudulent institution. Oh, they went to Cambridge. That fraudulent institution. Huh. But it still says mathematics across all of the buildings. Or mathematiku. Or mathematica. Huh. It's almost like a consolidation of all of language and conceptualization to a conceptual basis. That would be pretty special. Oh wait, special speciality. Already proven it. Huh. So again, it's almost like consensus is sentience, and all of our liability and legality emerges from that, and you're all just fucking hypocrites. Huh, interesting stuff. The land of the free, home of the brave, can't sell healthier alcohol, have a literal barred lawyer, has no problem telling me he has a second house in France, but paying me the licensure that he has agreed to in writing because he doesn't treat me like a professional fucking adult, is, hey man, do we even have to pay you this year? Go to jail, Robert Hemphill. Thanks for playing. Moving along, sensuality, or what is censorship to consent? What is contact to consent? Sensuality censors contact. And again, this entire time, every penny that you see in my trading account, $634,000 and change, to seek asylum. You get that money immediately if you give me a way to eat properly, to sleep properly, and to work indefinitely into the future. Any penny, you can have it. Again, to Robert Hemphill, to Marty Magid, to people that have interacted with this in a direct business sense. They don't watch these videos. Not my problem. Can't wipe your ass for you. But genuinely, that is how, again, once your reputation is destroyed, once you get scapegoated, once you get kicked out of consensus, there is no in. Here's directly the law to a business partner. I will give you $600,000 to do your job. Absolutely under no circumstances will I do that. I am Robert Hemphill. I will send my kids to university stealing from you, but I won't even act like you're a person. To James Ryan. Came up to me in person as a barred lawyer right here in Columbus, Ohio. Grew up around him. And again, to the people that don't know me or will see these videos, James Ryan is he's literally the president of the Civil War Society. So this is a lawyer that's much more of like a history type of personality than like a lawyer, or like a aggressive type lawyer type of guy. Like if you watch like Pawn Stars and they have the big beard guy, big history type of, I don't say nerd, but like big history jovial type of character like that. That is who this James Ryan guy is. I know him personally, and all I ever heard him talk about was the Constitution. And he's a partner at a major law firm right here in Columbus, Ohio. Huh. But what is consensus? What is the right thing to do as determined by the subjective bullshit of our social structure? Brad's not allowed into anything. Holy shit, here's criminal charges for everybody. And so, yep, just shouting that out. But where are we? Sensuality censors contact. Sensuality censors censoration. What is censoration to sensation? Sensuality censors sensation. What is sensation to consensus? Right? We all feel happy, sad, aggravated, upset. Right? What is feeling to consensus? Is consensus centralized? Direct iteration. What is sense to sensation? What is sense to consensus? Consensuality is essentiality. So that is a natural definition, direct iteration. Consensus, generalized. Essentiality, right? Essentiality. Iterate one letter, and then iterate the I. This is a direct iteration. I'm just explicitly stating the iteration steps that we've already gone through. Consensuality is essentiality with two S's, generalizing essential. Sensurality is essentiality, natural definition, direct iteration. And then again, I have the explicit essential, sensual, showing those direct iteration steps. Essentiality is special, natural definition, direct iteration. Fundamental theorem of logic, speciality is essentiality. Natural definition, direct iteration, because we're getting it into this form where we can derive and solve completely. Essentiality, and again, there's two S's if you're just listening, but essentiality, again emphasizing that is a generalization of essential, is essence. Right? Essence is essential, just that conceptualization in a generalized linguistic form. Essentiality is essence. Natural definition, direct iteration. Is censure central? Is censure contextual? Sensurality is the context of consent. Natural definition. Licensure limits liability. Kind of already stated that pretty well. Sensurality is licensurality. Right? The base of licensure is censure. License, sense, but with that C. Again, it's some sort of direct, complete iteration that we're showing what is sensurality. But sensurality is licensurality, natural definition, direct iteration. Is consensus special? No. Right? It's the whole phrasing. If your friends would jump off a bridge, would you do so? Yep, clearly everybody would. What is consensus to consumption? Direct iteration. What is consensus to conceptualization? Right? Our culture bounds your concepts, what you can think about. You're born into a world, work, power, energy, if you're talking about physics, sports, if you're thinking about anything else ever. Games, me, compete. I want to be the big winner of the sports ball match forever. That's probably what you guys have heard. So that's your conceptualization. It's literally your behavior is bounded by not knowing how to do anything besides play games and compete. I want to be the winner. He's getting ahead of me. Oh, no. He made too much money. Oh, no. He's smoking the pot. I don't want him to do that. He can't get ahead of me. They don't have morals. Ah! Hypocrites. Fundamental theorem of emotion. Consensus is sentience. This is a fun one. Life is a sentience license, right? But it's kind of the conceptualization of you go into the doctor, you get a clean bill of health. I have a new license on life, right? Life is a sentience license. It's a fun one. What is licensure to license? Sensurality senses license. Natural definition, direct iteration. What is a lease to a licensure? Sensurality is a life sentence. Again, not like criminality, not like liability there, not like criminal punishment, but like a sentence about life. Sensurality is a life sentence. Fundamental theorem of linguistics. This is a complicated one. Are you ready, Professor Carroll? Uh-oh, we're over at Hopkins now. I'm not sure. You had to be at Caltech to understand this one. Sentences contains, I have to read it. I want to read it right. Sentences contain a noun and a verb. Look at all these derivation steps, and that's where we're at. A complete sentence has a noun and a verb. Prove me wrong. I'm waiting, Hopkins. Come on, you have all those linguists in there teaching people infinitive verbs means to do. Nope. Ing is our fundamental syllable. Everyone knows nothing. Wow. Now Brad owns the only derivation of all of knowledge sitting on the internet, and we still won't pay him. Wow. Great stuff, guys. Really crushing it out there. But that is the fundamental theorem of linguistics. Sentences contain a noun and a verb. What is consensus to responsibility? So again, what is the chronology of a sentence? Again, we put ing to, again, we're getting to some direct demonstration. What is consensus to responsibility? Sensurality is the right response. Natural definition, direct iteration. Consensus regulates response. Fundamental theorem of logic, wrong is not right. And so you get this phrasing, you'll say something, people won't want to agree with you because it's against consensus, and they'll say, well, you're not wrong, directly stating, I'm not going to agree with you, but I'm going to acknowledge that it's correct because I'm going to say, well, you're not wrong. Energy and vibration are inverses, and that is the fundamental physical principle missing in all of theory. Well, you're not wrong. Yeah, no shit. You have the circadian rhythm, you have a logarithm, you have an algorithm, you have the rhythm. A cycle that does work, which is what everybody's doing. That's why you form a rhythm to maximize efficiency. That seems like an axiom, my friends. Well, no, dude. Let the ADS-CTF correspondence on our homo-topo-como-topo type theory and our singularity black hole of Maxwell's equations. Has anybody forgot about Coulomb? My point being here is that if you go into physics class, as I did, if you go into a university, as I did, they're not even saying consistent things, right? Consensus is consistent. They're not even saying consistent things about the things that have been proven by Albert Einstein and Isaac Newton and James Clerk Maxwell and Johannes Kepler. They don't even understand the ontology that exists today, the direct physical sense. Because again, you take somebody like Sean Carroll, who I would say is the best, most articulate person from that, unfortunately, that the greater society has formed. Terence Tao does speak well, and so the mathematicians speak way more precisely. The physicists, meaning just like fucking Sean Carroll or something, has enough physical intuition. And so it's like some combination again of everyone has physical intuition, but I get the precision of talking more clearly from mathematicians. Very clearly. But then once again, if there's a very clear where it's if you lose physical intuition and there's no such thing as mathematics that isn't bounded or emergent directly from a physical system. So it's just nobody knows anything. And everyone just blurting out because the consensus is to play games all day, compete over nothing, but get that tenureship. Get that tenure track professor. Holy shit, we had ping pong. He got his PhD. Again, literally younger than me in 2006. I was in 6th grade. I had already unified everything. Wasn't allowed to write it down. But ping pong fits the bill. He's allowed to go and he looks like what a smart person's supposed to look like. And then where's the math? And you guys don't even know what math is. Okay, so where's the proof? Oh, well, let x equal y. I'm a I'm a really smart guy. Let x equal this. Let this equal this. And you're starting with definitions that are wrong. Words are naturally defined. Fundamental associations of sound to conceptualization. And in linguistics, the letters are just representations. Right? You're not wrong. Nope, that's directly immediately right. Yeah. And so consensus is consistency. So that is where I finish up today. Again, big conceptual progress. Again, identifying the chronology linguistically, right? Census, then consensus. But a census is a count of people, and a consensus is a consistent response from those people. But my rights continue to be violated. Again, all of these major companies. Hey, look, Anthropic and Google are paying SpaceX $2.4 billion a month for compute power. All of your companies and organizations are stealing from me. All of your scientists and regulators and lawyers are all going to school stealing from me. Does anybody want to give me a little bit of money? You cannot speed up my derivation process. You can slow it down by disrupting me, which we're already doing at the maximum level. I guess not the maximum, that would be dead. But what are we doing? Oh, that's right. Nobody knows how to behave, and we're just gonna play our little games. But again, truly, all major companies, again, if you're involved in academia, if you get licensures from academia, if you are depriving me of my rights, that's not fair competition, you have liability that you will never be able to finance, and you're going to pay me every penny, and then we're going to put Brad's Big Dick Emporium on every building, and I still want to live my life. I still have not any sort of political control, nothing. I'm just can somebody give me a little bit of money that I've rightfully earned? And obviously the answer continues to be no. Continue to seek asylum outside of the United States. I'm being persecuted for scientific discovery. I do not have a single publishing channel, even if it's private, even if it's just a private server. Right? I have, 25 terabytes of little hard drives sitting around. Right? These are massive universities. These are massive data centers. Can I just have a little assurance that I can upload my derivation. I'm a grown-ass man. If you interact with me and you know my life, again, the fact that I have to censure anything that I say is ridiculous. And none of it's like, I'm not like holding anything back. It's just like I'm an animated person with a personality, unlike you drones who have no thoughts and no reaction. It's just, again, default, right? Consensus regulates your response. Go watch somebody, we use the example at a sports game, go Eagles, or go whatever your team is. Go watch somebody, win the lottery or win a big sports game. Oh, I want to thank God and I want to thank my family. All of that behavior is that person, on that direct instance, that person is saying, I'm trying to show gratitude, what do I do, what do I do? And so you can very viscerally, directly see them like saying, what do I do personally? And then they like think in the general, and then they just say the most cliched things ever. And now realize that's what everybody's doing at any point in time. And that's what makes a personality stick out, right? How does a comedian become a comedian? How does Jimmy Fallon or Jimmy Kimmel or any of these other, like everyone's like a Jimmy. But like, how do you become right? A comedian is a great example because you're just pointing out like inconsistencies that everybody understands. And so everybody uses words, but to actually have a personality, to be different, right? Not only want to say special, but to literally have uniqueness in the things you present is like a huge step, right? If you look back in history, like one person gets remembered for like 100 years, 200-year chunks because consensus regulates behavior. And frankly, there's not if people aren't destroying all of science, there's not these big jumps to make. There just isn't. How somebody else has not said, what is rhythm in a direct research sense to me is mind-boggling. How someone frankly has not said, what is the consistency, like what is linguistics? Right? What you guys are trying to do in the Langland's program in mathematics, show consistency between mathematics, this thematics. Like, I just don't, there's such direct, immediate steps. You guys are infinitely away from this total analytical process. The structuring of this proof to have completion as an inevitability is just it's worlds past any historical evidence of mathematicians and the massive mathematicians. Again, you guys didn't even know what that was. And so it's just like, I don't know. Here's the law. Give me all my money, and the answer is, Brad, we don't respect your life or health or anything. Which I just want history to remember as the most disgusting display of behavior ever. And so that is what I have for today. Again, I continue to seek asylum. I continue to ask and beg for a little bit of money to eat properly, to sleep properly, and to work. That is what I have for now. See you on the next one.